Hey everyone, my name is Josh and welcome back to your fourth stimulus package and news update. We have a lot of news to get into in today's video, but first, if you would like to receive one free stock from Robinhood valued up to $2,000 just for signing up, make sure to claim it by clicking my link, which you will find in the description box below. Okay, so the Senate returns to Washington today after their holiday recess. This week, they'll look to push forward on a couple of different pieces of legislation. Those being the Build Back Better bill and voting rights. The Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer promised to hold votes on both pieces of legislation this week. The one dealing with voting rights is expected to fail, with all 50 Democrats voting for it and all 50 Republicans voting against it. Once that happens, Democrats will begin pushing to get rid of the filibuster, which would no longer require such bills that need 60 votes in order to pass. At the moment, Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema are both opposed to nixing the filibuster though, so in order to do so, they would need to get them both on board. As far as Build Back Better goes, that's another vote that's likely to fail, with Joe Manchin, possibly Kyrsten Sinema, and possibly other Democratic senators opposing the package. Of course, not a single Republican will vote yes, so there's almost no chance of this bill passing. What this will do though is give Democrats an opportunity to vote on the package, something Schumer's been pressured to do, and it'll also force more pressure on the Democrats who vote against it by forcing those like Manchin to go on record. After the bill fails, they'll go right back to the drawing board and hope to reach some type of deal with Senator Manchin. Over the weekend, it was reported by Axios that Joe Manchin is now open to re-engaging on the climate and child care provisions in President Biden's agenda if they remove the child tax credit provisions entirely from the package. Or if they don't remove it entirely from the bill, at the very least, dramatically lower the income cap for eligible families. Mainly, Senator Manchin has been worried that the bill will cost much more than the $4 trillion over 10 years if the child tax credit is extended in the form that it's currently in. So I am definitely sure that they will continue to talk on that issue, but it's hard seeing progressive Democrats being okay with removing the child tax credit payments from the bill. Speaking of the child tax credit, now that it's officially time of the year to begin getting our tax forms ready to file, that's one credit that many of us will be able to receive. So for those of you with children under the age of 18, you should have received 6 payments this year from mid-July through the middle of December. When you go to file your taxes, you will be able to claim the other 6 payments on your tax returns. If you didn't receive any of your payments and you were eligible, or if you had a newborn this year, you will be able to claim the 12 payments when you go to file your tax returns. Now, unfortunately, since the Build Back Better bill wasn't passed before the end of this year, we won't be seeing payments go out on the 15th of January. Instead, we'll have to potentially wait until the middle of February, where then, if the bill does get passed, you can most likely expect to receive retroactive payments. This means if you normally receive $300 per month from having one child under the age of 6, you should be receiving $600. Again though, the bill isn't necessarily guaranteed to be passed before the end of this month, and of course, even if it does pass, it's possible the child tax credit payments aren't included in the package. In some other news, even though President Biden hopes to force private companies to make sure their employees are vaccinated to remain on the payroll, some companies have been doing that on their own. Because of this, 5 states have now started offering unemployment benefits to workers who refuse to comply with their company's mandate. Usually, when workers are fired for cause, they are not entitled to state benefits. However, lawmakers in Arkansas, Iowa, Florida, Kansas, and Tennessee have enacted legal exceptions for those who decided not to get the vaccine and therefore be terminated from their job. It's also being reported by the Washington Post that Missouri, Wyoming, and Wisconsin are also considering similar pieces of legislation. One of the states heavily opposed to mask and vaccine mandates happens to be Florida, another state that was on this list. Here is Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis firing back against the president on his proposed vaccine mandates.
You know, Governor, the president had a lot to say yesterday, and he didn't say your name, but obviously was referring to you. What do you have to say to him back when it came to about the mask mandates?
Well, I would just say generally, when you're taking action that's unconstitutional, that threatens the jobs of the people in my state, many thousands of jobs. I'm standing for them. We're going to protect their jobs against federal overreach. And this is a guy who criticizes the state of Florida for protecting parents' rights. He says school boards should be able to eliminate parents' rights and force 5-year-old kids to wear masks all day. That's what he thinks is appropriate government. Yet, here he comes from Washington, D.C., instituting an unprecedented mandate, which even his own people have acknowledged in the past is not constitutional. That's not leadership. And I think the problem I have with Joe Biden more than anything, this guy doesn't take responsibility for anything. He's always trying to blame other people, blame other states. This is a guy that promised when he ran for president that he would shut down the virus. If you look now, there's 300% more cases in this country today than a year ago when we had no vaccines at all. So his policies are not working. He's doubling down on things that are going to be very destructive for the livelihoods of many, many Americans, and obviously going to be destructive to our constitutional system and the rule of law. And so these are times when you believe in that Constitution, you got to stand up. And obviously the substantive issue is important because there are places that are going to toss aside people they've worked this whole time throughout COVID. Now all of a sudden they should be tossed aside. They were working when nobody had vaccine. You don't know their history. You don't know why they're making decisions that they're making. Many of these people have already recovered and they have immunity. The idea that somehow you have somebody that gets a Johnson & Johnson, they can work, but someone that's got natural immunity somehow can't, that natural immunity is strong. So it's not based on science, and you can say he's saying he's losing patience with people. You know, at the end of the day, we don't live with a one-person rule in this country. We live in a constitutional system which people's rights are respected, but particularly in this juncture, their livelihoods and their jobs have to be protected. I mean, just think about, you know, what this mandate would do. It's going to drive people out of work, out of hospitals, out of all this stuff where you have a need for people. So it's totally counterproductive, and I think it'll ultimately lose in court. But before that, you know, there needs to be action taken to protect the people of our state and hopefully of the entire United States. Nobody should lose their job based on this decision.
So DeSantis says that it would be unfair to fire someone after working through the entirety of the pandemic just because they chose not to take the vaccine. DeSantis also mentioned some other factors such as natural immunity, so maybe someone may not have gotten the vaccine, but they're still immune to COVID just because they got COVID throughout the pandemic at some point, so they're just as okay as someone who may have gotten the vaccine, at least according to Governor DeSantis. But on that note, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. Again, if you would like to receive one free stock from Robinhood, which will be valued up to $2,000 just for signing up, make sure to claim it by clicking my link in the description box below. So once again, I hope that everyone has a great and safe rest of their day. And if you did enjoy the content in today's video and you would like to see more videos like it and you would like to support me for free, feel free to give this video a like, a big thumbs up. That does definitely help out with the YouTube algorithm. And until next time, as always, I'll see you in the next video.